So what is rebranding? Rebranding is the process of changing the corporate image of an organization. It is a market strategy giving a new name to symbols or changing the design of an already established brand. The idea behind rebranding is to create a different identity for a brand from its competitors in the market. But what if that brand is you? How does one go from working a job they hate to becoming self-made and being their own boss? What gives them the boldness to move past the ordinary and say to themselves, now it's my time to do it myself? And I'm Grateful Edmund, business owner, entertainer, and brand manager. Walk with me for a second and rebrand yourself. Now let's go.
Episode number 4, and of course it is snowing again on my podcast. This is like some type of epidemic when it comes to the Rebrand podcast. But welcome to the Rebrand podcast, where packaging and rebranding go together, but you have to learn how to do more than just change your packaging. I am Grateful Edmund, and today's guest is Eulogia, the life coach.
From Layzie Bone to the Jacksons, she's worked with some of entertainment's biggest stars. Now she's a life coach with a passion to help women and children who've been victims of abuse. And her aura is so beautiful. It's Eulogia, the life coach.
Hello, good evening to you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
And for my audience of people that may not know you, can you give them a brief synopsis of who you are?
Yes, so I am Eulogia. Some may know me as Eulogia, the life coach, and others may know me as Penny. Penny takes me back to my photography days when I did a lot of photography, and I started when I was 17 years old. I had the what would you do if you were stranded on a deserted island type of story. It was true for me. I was able to play with my first camera on a deserted island in Canada, and yes, one of my stepdad's best friend owns an island in Montreal, I believe. And so when I was 17, we were out there vacationing, and there was like nothing to do. It's literally just us, And so he had this dope camera, and one day he was just like, "Here, go play." And I took it outside. My mom got dressed up in hair and makeup, and I took her out there, and we just had fun on the island, just snapping all these different photos. Some of the teens from the neighboring islands were able to come over and hang out. And so I used them as my first models. And from there, it just took off. And so some of my first clients were like members of the Jackson family.
Who in the Jackson family?
I'm sorry?
Who in the Jackson family?
So Jermaine and Randy's children, their mom hired me to do photos for their modeling portfolios and things like that. So I did have the opportunity to actually go into the home where the Jacksons grew up, because that's where they were living. And so just to be 19 years old going into this situation, this was before Michael actually passed away. So, it was just a whirlwind. Like, a lot of people don't know that I was even there. And because a part of the opportunity for me, like, I didn't grow up starstruck. Both of my parents are they've been in the industry. My dad, he was a producer and co-host of The Front Page, which is on KJLH, the radio station in Inglewood. And my mom, she's been doing modeling, acting. She has a film festival. So I've been around, entertainment my whole life. And so yeah, with the Jacksons, like it was one of those things where they can trust me, I can trust them. They, I went over to their house, they came over to mine. And it was prior to and after Michael's passing. So, there was trust there. So, I feel like, because I didn't, nobody, neither, I didn't make a big deal. Nobody in my family made it a big deal. It was just what I was doing. It allowed them to be comfortable, So.
And how long did you do photography, and did you stay in the entertainment business? Are you still in it now, or did you completely convert out of that?
I honestly converted out of it after the tour that I did with Layzie. I was his personal photographer. I was also my daughter was 4 years old, I believe, when I got off the tour. And so it took a lot out of me. And I was like, you know what? I need to slow down. I need to transition and figure out, what I'm actually trying to do outside of photography, because this is a crazy lifestyle. Like, this is crazy. This is a lot, And so, especially being a female.
Yeah, I can assume. I mean, you don't know my backstory. I've been in the music business for a while, and I know. I think where you're getting at, we won't go there. But you got any stories you want to share about something that was kind of, a little off the hook, or
Well, the thing is, it's like I was young, and to be honest, this is like the first time I'm actually talking about this openly on a platform. And so there were times where I feel like I was naive to what could go on in the business. I was just young. I was talented in what I was doing. I had a lot of people that wanted to work with me, and I was dedicated. I was focused. I wasn't boy crazy or anything like that. So I wasn't throwing myself out there. However, I was, like I said, I was naive to what other people could do and what their intentions or could be or whatever like that. And so I basically got exposed to a lot, that, I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have been exposed to, because I also came from like, a sheltered background too. So, I mean, it's just so much. I'll have to probably go more into depth with it on my own platform. But to just say the least, there were times where I felt like I was being talked out of going, like, on tour and things like that from like other females, because I was like one out of like 2 females on a tour full of males. And so, thank God nothing happened to me. I didn't, like I said, I was very focused. I had a goal, and I was just trying to live my dreams, what I mean? Just trying to accomplish my goals. Thank God nothing happened to me, but I was definitely exposed to a lot,
Just being on tour and all that.
Yes.
You seen some things, but everybody always asks me like, "Hey, man, I'm trying to get in the music business, and what I need to do to get in it." And then it's like, I'm always, I don't want to discourage anybody from doing anything they want to do, but especially being a female, it's like, do you really want to take that route? Because like what we're talking about, it's like it's not easy for people who don't really understand the business. Was there any life lessons that you got from that situation before you got out of it? Like, what advice would you give a female artist in particular who wanted to enter that type of industry?
Well, to be honest, I think in the spirit of just trying to, want to protect people who are a part of like the Me Too movement and all of that stuff, it's like really just for the parents, talk to your kids about what's out there. Like,
Mm.
make that a priority. You know, use your voice. Keep your kids close. Know that everything that you want, like, be okay with certain sacrifices, like making certain sacrifices, because like me, I had a lot of freedom. Like, there was just too much stuff for me to be able to get into. And like I said, thank God nothing happened to me. And because there was a lot of things that I knew I wanted to stay away from, I was able to shelter myself even though I was in certain environments. You know what I mean? There was just a lot of things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't drinking. So I was able to keep myself sober and kind of just like protect it in that way. Not allowing myself to just be in everybody's face, even though I was amongst other people. If that makes sense. But yeah, just I would say this one is like for the parents. Keep your kids informed, educated on people of the opposite sex. Let them know like what really goes on, in the minds and what is possible for them to go out and experience. Don't be afraid of that.
Gotcha. So you're young, you've worked with Jermaine Jackson's, you've been in the Jackson estate, you've been on tour with Layzie Bone, you're young, you've seen a lot of things at a young age. You decided to get out of that industry. What was your next transition?
So honestly, after getting out of a relationship, um, that turned out to be, I guess it was abusive, and it was an abusive relationship. I I found myself just starting off from scratch. I literally needed to hit rock bottom in order for me to be able to like figure out who I was and what I needed to, and what direction I was needing to go in. So I was starting off from scratch. This was back in 2017, and I had the opportunity to co-host a radio show at UNLV, and that that lasted for a very short period. It was very short. But then I just started to just figure just different things out. Like, you know, during that relationship, there was a lot that I missed out on. I didn't do. Um, a lot of things kind of fell by the wayside. So I went back and got my, my high school diploma. Um, and that was something that I struggled with for the longest. So I was able to get my high school diploma a few years ago,
Congrats.
and thank you. And then last year, I became a certified life coach at the beginning of last year. And so it's just, I've been volunteering at, I recently volunteered for a homeless shelter that houses teen pregnant or mothers, teen pregnant mothers. So, and they're homeless. So they're homeless teens. And then
And you
doing the
mentor,
same.
you coach them, like, like in what capacity as a life coach, like, do you assist?
Yeah, so basically just being a peer support, emotional support, um guidance, they're these girls, they're young, you know, They were young. This was, I did this maybe 2 years ago, where I was working with the homeless shelter, and just really being an advocate for what they wanted, because it opened up my eyes to organizations as well, because there's what they need to do as an organization, and then there's what is going on in the mind of a teen girl, and so really just trying to, help bridge the gap between the communication between the teen and the organization, to make sure that they're kind of like understanding what's going on in her mind, and she's understanding, like, what the consequences behind some of her actions are if she, decides to do certain things, and just trying to help keep her on the right track. Recently, I started working with a domestic violence shelter, and so we did the vision boards, with them, and so that was a huge deal. And in just a couple of weeks, I have an event where I'll be talking to teens about domestic violence. So that's.
Do you think that your experience with the domestic violence is what sort of transitioned you into a life coach, or like, was that the determining factor, or was it just that you had this on the plate all along? Or?
I think somewhere I had it all along, because I've always been the person that people gravitate to talk to. They're always like spilling their beans to me. And and so in photography, it was a way for me to actually connect with people. I specialized in working with people, and doing portraits and fashion, and makeup and stuff like that. So I used that as therapy for myself. So it all kind of like went hand in hand with like being able to just connect, and life coaching. The domestic violence situation, yeah, I definitely feel like it helped create this life coach, because I got so interested in how people think and why they do the things that they do, and focusing on like how to overcome some of those barriers. And it helped me to also forgive and understand, what might have, taken place in that situation from every angle, like what the parents were going through, what my partner was going through, what the kids go through, what they go through, and just, yeah, it just kind of like made me dive into like all of this learning and education.
But your primary focus is the teens and the homeless teens, for instance. But you a life coach on different levels as well, correct?
Yes. So I am. I'm open to general life coaching, but I do mainly focus on teens, because I do feel like at a certain age they are curious, and so I do want to help their age group not go down the same path that I had to go through. Like I missed out on my 20s. Well, I say that I missed out on my 20s. I didn't have like the regular 20s experience, so wanted to just catch them before they get too deep into these first like relationships where they end up with kids and then they're like regretting it. And I really want to help lift them. early on.
More of a planned parent type of situation as opposed to, I'm indifferent about that. Like, I mean, I things happen when they're supposed to happen, I believe. But yes, me being an older guy, without children, I definitely saw some advantages that a lot of my colleagues didn't have, because, like you said, they had responsibilities at 19 that I just didn't have. But I just feel like people are born when they supposed to be born. And, but yes, I'm glad that you are counseling people on that, because we do have a lot of preteen pregnancies and early 20s. And, it does sort of financially stifle you if you don't have a good plan in place, you don't have a good team in place. It can be bad. Um, did you feel like you were misunderstood during that time period? Like, did you feel like you were viewed different, or like you coach people on possibly not being an early parent? So do you feel like the decision for you, not that you're never going to regret your kids, but it was a thing where it's like, do you feel like um it's something that you probably should have waited to do, or
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
um,
And the reason why I feel like there's no shame in saying that is because we live in a culture now where, there's so many people, they're looking to be a sugar baby, and they're looking
mm,
to have kids for the gram, and because they think like dressing up like the mommy and me outfits is all. That's not what it's about. um Real life happens to real people, and people need to know, like, you know i I look at my kids every day, and it's a constant reminder of what I could have done better,
mm,
and what should have been. I had goals. I was 17 years old when I picked up the camera, and I was working. I mean, I was at the prime of what I can say I was like getting in. I was really grinding
mm.
before, and
And that guy,
I
and that,
was
you felt like that got halted a bit, is what you're saying.
I do. I remember when I felt like the world just came crashing down on me, because I went from having no responsibility to like feeling like the whole world was just on my shoulders. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, what? How? Like, how did this happen? You know, and I'm just I can't allow myself to be ashamed to say that, because I think it's going to hit the right people. Um, I don't have any regrets, no, but it's definitely important to say that, because it's true.
Mm.
It's true. It took so long for me to feel like I was able to get back to that place prior to, you know,
Mm.
I realized that I wasn't a whole person. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing.
No, I totally understand. My mother had me at 17 years old. I feel like I've met like four different versions of my mother. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, essentially, at being 17 years older than me, she's technically my big sister. If you just talking about life progression, you know what I'm saying? So I've seen like a 25-year-old version of my mom. I've seen a 35, I've seen a 40, 50, 60. And there's, all progression is good progression, mainly. But yes, I understand, being a younger parent does have like some obstacles sometimes, but it makes you stronger.
It
And it
does.
I'm sure it grew you up real fast. You know, me not having children, I think um my mentality was always like, well, you know, I can do what I want to do. I mean, I ain't it's not hurting nobody but me. You know what I'm saying? So I think children kind of ground you, you know, to the point where you don't shoot off the mouth as much. You know, you kind of like, all right, I got to do this, and I got to make sure my business is handled. So it's pros and cons to everything. But I mean, I
Yeah.
just think that was very big of you, you know, to say. And I didn't mean to dig into it that much, you know, but it's just, you know, a lot of people just don't admit that. Like, and I feel like a lot of parents, you can tell by the way they raise their children that they wasn't ready. So they just kind of do their own thing, but they just happen to have a child. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that ain't how that works. Once you have children, you know, the transition is different. Like, you become a parent, you can't just do whatever you want to do. And that's why hadn't had kids up until this point, because I know it's going to come with certain responsibilities.
Right.
So basically, now that you have been a life coach, what are you what else do you do, like on the side? Is that your are you doing that full time? Do you have other things going on now? Like what else you have going on in your world?
So, I do mainly do the life coaching. Besides that, I have been working on building my own YouTube channel, and um, just really, I have some projects that I feel like I'm not ready to talk about yet. But
I got
I do have a lot of new things coming up. So I'll just leave that for later. But
some stuff we talk about offline. It sounds like you probably need to write some book or some type of script or something. I don't know. Like, you need to, you know, put it, you know, or write your thoughts down. You've been around enough artists in your world, you know how we operate, you know. So, you know, just write it down and get it all out, and just, you never know, it might turn into something people really want to visualize.
exactly, exactly.
And where you want to take your life coaching thing? Like, you know, you said you want to talk about your project you got coming up, but like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, like, as far as what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm trying to get more into like the motivational speaking realm. I I would like to do a film or films, and
Right,
those
projects.
are. Mhm.
When the last time you picked up the camera?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's been a little over a year. It's been
You haven't touched the camera in a year? Oh wow! Like, you know, you've been busy. I'm gonna cough it up to being busy.
Well, honestly, I had to put it down because at one point I couldn't put it down. It was, I feel like I was addicted to it. And so, in order for me to be able to find myself, and I had to detach from it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's another muse for you as well, to kind of, you know, just be creative. When you pick up the camera again, you're just gonna be uh it'll probably put you in another place. Like, every time I go in the studio, it might be 2 years since I recorded the song. It's just like I fall back into a mode where I was when I first started recording, and my love for that. So I mean, don't ever stop doing your love. Like, don't do that, because and if for no other reason, if you love doing it, just do it. You know, and it doesn't ain't about money or hobby or whatever. You know, just, you know, if it makes you feel some type of way, then you definitely should pick up the camera game. What you use? You use the Nikon? Use the Canon?
I'm a Canon girl.
Okay, okay, all right, okay. So I definitely I wanna see some of your work. Do you have any masterpieces that you've been hiding? Like, I had My friend Brian on my first podcast, I mean, he was one of the last people to actually have a photo shoot with Kobe before he passed away. So, I mean, obviously he didn't know what was going to happen, and then he ran into this gym. Do you have like some photography gems that you haven't unloaded on the world?
I do, and so I will share some of those with you so that you can include them in this video.
Okay.
And that's also a touchy subject for me too, because when I left that abusive relationship, I left everything, including my hard drive that had years, and it had all of my photo shoots on.
Oh Lord.
Yes, I struggled with that for a while, because those are my babies.
So I mean, you don't have to get
There's
into
there's a lot of work that I don't have that I was sitting on, like a lot of editorial stuff that it's been a slow like process for me having to detach. And it's funny, I didn't know that I can get this heartbroken over my work, but those are my babies.
and
Those are my
now
babies.
and I think I uncovered something by asking you that question. That's probably why you haven't picked up the camera.
Sometimes you're in an interview and you want to project something, you want to get something out, and then it goes someplace else. So I had to kind of revert the energy back before the next part of the segment, because it gets serious and it should be taken seriously from this point on. When you start talking about abuse, you have to tackle it a certain way.
Is that what it is?
Maybe because I poured my heart and soul into those photos. I have tons of work in there that are like documentary worthy. I mean, stuff that people wouldn't believe, you know. So I have had to like try to dig up stuff just by going through like so many different email addresses that I've had over the years just to try to pull together something,
Mm.
but they're nothing compared to the stuff that I know that I had on that hard drive.
You know what? I have a question for
That
you.
actually brought me to tears real quick.
Oh no, I didn't mean
I
to.
didn't know. I didn't know that it was that deep for me, but it has been hard.
Well, I want you to get back in to pick that camera up and get to work. I'm gonna crack your whip on that, because I didn't know that was gonna open up such a
You
Pandora's
know,
box for you.
yeah, I honestly think that's what it is. I think I haven't been able to pick up the camera the same way because I'm still like grieving over that work that I mean, I thought that was some of my best.
No, hey, it's nothing wrong with that. But now that I know, we're gonna get you there, and we gonna bring that the joy, the artistic joy back to your life. And I think the question, because I don't want to take you no place you want to go, but this is what you do for my female viewers. You could turn back the time. If you could turn back the clock and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say to yourself?
You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. But when you do, it's not over. when you do, it's not over. And there is a huge light on the other side of that hurt. Just keep going. Just keep going. You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. And when you do, it's gonna be so beautiful.
I think that's very, very good advice. To answer the own question, and for me, it's don't be listening to people. Do what you say you was gonna do. These people don't want to see you doing stuff just because they're not doing it. It's stuff I'm doing now that I should have did 20 years ago, just because I felt like people would feel some type of way about it, and I don't know what I was thinking, and I can feel that in you, and I feel that aura in you, and it's gonna be one of those things where we can pass on the things that we've learned to other people, so they don't have to go through that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vibe. How can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on my website, Eulogiathelifecoach.com, and all of my social media, YouTube links are on there. So I just want to send everybody to my website, www.eulogiathelifecoach.com.
And I'm going to be on her podcast as well, so we're going to make this almost like a part two type of situation when I go over there, and then we're going deeper dive into some things, when she has her hand on the microphone, and we're going to take it from there. Thank you so much for coming through.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I'm gonna see you now. I always end the show with a little send off. It'd be a little different today. It's not. I normally try to end it with how people rebrand from a financial situation. But sometimes things are not necessarily rebranding from financial, it's rebranding from your heart. And basically coming out of a situation or of abuse or some type of domestic violence or just something mental, coming and overcoming that and becoming the person that you are is very important. But you have to take step one, with acknowledging the problem, figuring out how to get out of the problem, and then the third part of that is the rebuilding, or what I call the rebrand. On that note, I'm gonna see you guys next week.